Good morning, guys, and welcome to the weekly webinar series that we have. I'm really happy to introduce Tara O'Neill, and she was a guest on the podcast a few weeks ago, and she is a hypnotherapist, and she helps clients eliminate self-sabotage in their relationships, businesses, finances, and careers. She's got a wonderful podcast. She's got really a great resource. She got free resources where you can actually download a 30-minute hypnotherapy session to feel at ease and calm. And so today she's going to talk about breaking money beliefs, why you're self-sabotage, and how to fix this using her paradigm. So I'm really happy to have her on. And so Tara, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be back. I really am. It's something I feel really powerful and passionate about. So let's start with the basics of money being energy, right? We talk a lot about money is energy. We know everything is energy, but what does that mean? So, for the purpose of today, let's just think of it money is not good or bad, right? Let's take away the emotional charge with it to some extent as we go in and we actually figure out, do we have beliefs around it being good, or do we have beliefs around it being scary or not good? And especially with women, and this can be for both men and women. But I do find that women, because the way that we are socialized or have been socialized, we have a few more limiting beliefs, right? So I want to go right into the beliefs that we might carry around money. And again, these are universal. I just do find that historically, we still carry some of the weight of the way that we've been conditioned in terms of deserving. Let's see, I have to work really hard to earn money. Right. So this is real. I come from that Protestant background of strap your bootlaces up and go to work. And that's really can be really helpful. And definitely there is a lot of value in having a good work ethic. But the time equals money paradigm is old and it's outdated and we don't need it anymore. So I have to work really hard to earn money is not. I want people to take that through their belief system, check and see if they're still thinking like that. And so I want to go through some of these really common ones, and then I'll show you how we can change them and to make them into affirmations and really have you embody those new beliefs, that new paradigm of receiving financial abundance. Okay, so if I make more money than my partner, my family, I won't be loved. Right? There's embarrassment or shame sometimes, or guilt that comes with earning money, right? So I can't earn more money than them, or they're going to think I'm better than them, or that I have something more. And women really don't want to break that rapport. They usually want people to feel accepted and comfortable. And so when it comes to, I don't want I don't want him to feel insecure. Okay, we have to start letting go of that and really owning our own energy, and being considerate of other people's feelings is still possible while not dimming our light. So wanting more money makes me greedy or superficial, right? That can be traced back to some deep religious old ways of thinking in terms of rich people are greedy and really hurt others, or the people on top are in control and are bad. Like a lot of the stories that we make up in our mind are just not serving us, right? So that one we can definitely let go of, because we now know that the universe is infinitely abundant. There is no scarcity, there is no lack. Every single human being, there's more than enough to attract or accept financial prosperity and abundance into our reality. I'm just not good with money. Somebody might have told you that you're irresponsible, that you're not financially savvy, and that's just frankly BS, right? That you can get better. You could listen to your podcast. There's many experts out there. There's many people that have been in severe debt and now have abundance. So finding expanders, finding people that are in your situation that have gotten out of it is very helpful. And that belief is silly and that can be overwritten, because everyone has the potential to be smart and really good with money. And that can be anything learned can be unlearned, right? So if you have bad money habits, no problem. You can rewrite those, you can change those. So I'll always get just enough to survive, never to thrive, right? There is a subconscious block that we have a lot of times when we hit that ceiling. We find a way to lose money, give it away. There's a leak, something happens because we can't get past that. And we can rewrite that subconsciously as well. I can't be spiritual and wealthy. That's a great one too. People will find that they're holier than thou if they that they want to not have money because that means that they're holier in some way. It can be an ego trap for sure. If I'm successful, people will judge me or want more of my money. Some people will want this for me, and then I'll have to give it to them. And again, that's a belief because you don't have to. And also, you don't have to provide your bank statements to everyone that you come into contact with. Your friend, you don't have to wear it on your sleeve. If you don't want to share how much money you make, you don't have to. So there's never enough for me or for everyone. And there's a victim mentality that we have often learned, been conditioned or socialized into on purpose. That might be an episode for another day. Money's unpredictable. I can't trust it. And you speak a lot about this, right? That even you don't have to be at the liberty of the market or what's happening in economics or what's happening in your field. These are all stories and beliefs, right? You can absolutely thrive when the rest of the world seems like it's in chaos, right? So your external world is not in control of your finances. So what I'd like for people to do is go ahead and write out their money beliefs, and then we can change those to a positive. So let's just take the first one. I have to work really hard to earn money. You could change that to earn money in multiple areas of my life easily and effortlessly. Streams of income come in various ways, unexpected ways, easily and effortlessly, with ease, in abundance. And I'll share my information, my website, and there's a lot of free resources of good affirmations that you can get some ideas from with that. So I'm just not good with money. So this is a limiting belief. And I would question people to check other areas of their life. If they're thinking, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not this enough, anything where there's not enough, that's lack, that's scarcity, and that's just false. That's just a conditioned belief. So there's more than enough. You are more than enough. Your worth is more than enough, right? So a lot of these practices go down to intrinsic worth. And it does take a little bit of time and practice to get down to the fact that all humans are intrinsically worthy just by being alive. And so that we deserve whatever it is that we want in our lives. And that is, like I said, it does take a little bit of work, but doing these practices are going to get us really far into it. So let's take a little quick break there, and then we'll go to the next activity. Any questions or comments or feedback that your listeners might have? Oh, I can't actually hear. Okay.
Yeah, really. And then these are common money beliefs. And when you're working with the clients, so as the audience is doing this exercise, what in your stepwise process, when you talk about emotional charge, how do you get rid of that charge? How do you become neutral? How do you get rid of that either negative charge or positive charge, and just make it money is neutral?
Yes. Okay. So let's go. So sometimes we can tie this into childhood. So one of the other activities I'd like for people to do is writing out where their childhood beliefs about money came from. For example, if they felt bad for costing their parents money, going into their body and feeling like, oh, I remember when I asked for that, but I felt bad because my parents couldn't afford it, whatever it might be, that could be a negative belief. And so there's two things. One would be journaling that out and saying that's an old story and I'm going to drop that. And then the second thing would be some mirror work. So where we look straight on into the mirror and we say an affirmation, or we release that heavy feeling of I didn't feel worthy. I'm worthy now. So we talk into the mirror as if we're talking to our little child. You can call it inner child work. Basically, it is. And so you just say, I understand that you might have felt that way, but we're adults now and we don't have to feel that. So we can let go of any charge. So if an affirmation gives you an emotional release, say you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, I am worthy, right? I am responsible. And you start to feel like you'll well up, like your body will have an emotional release. And so you just let those tears come. You feel that little bit of sadness or a little guilt or a little shame, and it will pass through. And then afterwards, you'll feel a little relief. Your nervous system might settle in a bit. And then we can go to another practice. So that's a really great question because we don't want to bypass it. I can give you all the visuals in the world of running like Scrooge McDuck through the golden, I don't know if you remember when he would dive into all the money and the gold in that cartoon, right? So all the money in the world isn't going to, all the visualizations of money, all the mantras of money and abundance and prosperity aren't going to help if that little child within us feels like they don't deserve it. Okay, so we see, yeah, that was okay that you felt that way, but now we're an adult and now we have the tools to call in that money and we are worth it and we are responsible. And then so you'll know intuitively when you look in the mirror or when you're journaling what comes up for you and what your mind and your body and your spirit need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, really. And then, so I think the audience has probably finished, and then you continue on to the next segment of your
Yes.
presentation.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. So we're letting go of the old money stories. There is also a money timeline that we can do. I remember I was just talking about what happened when we were children, right? Did we feel bad because we felt like our parents couldn't afford certain things, so we didn't ask for it? Or maybe they fought over money, or maybe they were constantly working several jobs, right? So what did I observe or learn from my caregivers about money that are still affecting my beliefs? And again, and so that's that first part. Usually it's 0 to 7, but with this activity, we could go 0 to 18. And what did this teach you about money? And that's where you'll find some of those emotions that are stuck there, right? And then that second part, subconscious belief excavation, is going to help you. So that rewriting, right? Money causes problems. Now, money allows me to serve more. Money allows me to provide for my family. Money allows me to travel. My success inspires people, right? I think you are so inspiring because you are sharing all of this knowledge. So you are working your soul's purpose. And that's another thing that we'll talk about in a moment, is how our soul wants us to earn money because it's part of our essence. It's part of our purpose for being here in human form on earth. All right, let's go to the love letter to money. So we could break up with money and start again, find a new relationship with money. So the love letter to money: sit down and write a letter as if it were a person. And what do you want to say? You could say, hey, listen, I'm pissed off. You weren't there for me when I needed you, when I had all these bills to pay. And as you let some of that out, that's going to be very therapeutic. It's very cathartic. You're going to release some of that emotional anger that you might have with money. And just say scared, just talk to it like it's a person. Listen, I'm scared that you're going to leave me. I'm scared that you're not going to be there one day. And then we can go back and remind ourselves like, oh, money is as abundant as oxygen, as air. And we can do some practices like look at nature, right? Nature is so abundant. Like Mother Earth is constantly giving us so much abundance. We are so fruitful. These are just practices that the more you do, the more they're going to seep into your nervous system, into your being. Okay, so we got a couple more. So embodying. So once we moved and released some of that, we can start embodying what it feels like. I want you to ask yourself, who would I be if I had that financial abundance and prosperity right now? What would I do? How would I wake up in the morning with ease and feel relaxed yet energized? So you'd be able to pay for that $10 coffee and not be mad, right? Or you take your kids to the expensive movies, or you go on a vacation, or you donate to your favorite charity with ease. So how would this really make you feel, and how would this allow you the freedom to live in your truth, in your essence, forgetting like the outside world and the noise of lack and scarcity? And so with that, if you're doing a feeling, I really would want the person to feel it. Like, how does that make them feel? Think of the joy, the appreciation, the gratitude. You might do a dance, put on some music to get the endorphins going, and really just feeling it through your whole mind, body, spirit. And then the mirror rituals on here. I can make this available to your listeners too. I can throw it in a PDF. So if they want to take these practices and try some out. Yeah. And then one more thing I do want to talk about. I know I'm throwing a lot of things out there, but really quick, because I do think it's super important, is self-abandonment. And women, I find that women really do struggle with this. So overgiving in our daily lives, undercharging, under receiving, ignoring our intuition, saying yes when we mean no, dimming ourselves. These are starting to come out in the collective. That's so beautiful that people are talking about this. And I really love it. But there's a reason that it does need to be reinforced. And I think an important part for women is not abandoning themselves and staying true to themselves. So I do want to end on that, because that's what I work with a lot with women, is getting them out of debt, making money consistently and staying there, right? So that if there is a life challenge, a circumstance, they don't have to take a financial hit if they're going through an emotional one, right? So for women, our emotions and our finances can be linked, and they don't have to be, right? So I want women to feel financially secure no matter what happens in their life, whatever storms they can weather. They can always rely on that. They have financial security.
Yeah, and we'll take just a breather, and really interesting. And so we have a question from the audience, and one of it is, what does a destructive relationship with money look like? Is it gambling? Is it overspending? Is it being frugal? And how do you address that with clients?
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on what is happening, but let's just assume that it's often tied to their worth. Let's say that it's a mother and her worth is tied to her children. And so she may overgive to her children, over care financially, giving them, constantly giving and giving because she wants them to be okay. That might deplete her. That might put her into debt, or energetically, like physically, but also energetically through financial means, because she's supporting often adult children. It happens a lot of the time, because every mother, of course, wants their children to prosper, but with our feelings of guilt or not doing enough, or maybe they're failing because of me, financially, it might look like that. Holding it all together and bad habits, right? So I'll work with some women that are burning out. They're working 7 days a week or 70 hours a week, and they have some pretty bad habits, and maybe substances, drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be, coping mechanisms, which, no judgment. This is just what they felt that they needed to do in order to reach the standard. But that actually creates a leak, an energetic leak, right? So if they pick up a drug habit, now they're spending a lot of money on these substances, or shopping. Maybe they're making a lot of money, but they're spending a lot of money to fill some sort of a void or keep that dopamine going. And so it can look like a lot of different things, or in terms of a romantic relationship, really sacrificing their work by putting too much of their time and energy in relationships that are not reciprocal, that they're not receiving from. They're giving too much of their time, of their energy, of their love. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, what I really love about this is questions just enlightening. And then another question we have is, so for example, from the audience is a client, let's say she's programmed that money is very important. It's not to be wasted. So she's like very prudent in her finances. She's very successful in her career. And because she feels like making and earning a lot of money and providing for the family is a status thing, and it gives her a sense of significance. But then when she starts to get attention from either her bosses, employers, other members of the opposite sex, etc., she feels this feeling of guilt and shame and worthiness. What is going on there?
Yeah. So money and men are linked in that they're masculine energies, right? And often with females, the security comes from a masculine energy, which could be a man. Obviously, not so much now, but in the past, we needed the masculine energy to survive. And so now money is our survival, but we're still operating from, we can still be operating from that reptilian brain. It can bring up issues from our childhood or our who was our father figure, or so there's a lot there, but there can be an inferiority that's been programmed in her that yes, she can be successful, but just not quite as successful as men. There has to be like that little nudge to, oh, honey, that, like almost condescending. A lot of times in our corporate world, there is this, oh, good for you, but you're still just a little bit below us. So there is that energetic that I'm seeing that's still playing out in the mainstream corporate world. I would say for that woman to really start to find out what it is that brings her joy and what brings her fulfillment and how she can be more secure within her own skin and finding confidence and conviction. And that's what I would work on with her, is cultivating that after a lifetime of pain and shame and conditioning and socialization.
And a corollary to that is people that use their income or their net worth as status symbols or as way to overcompensate. And when they do get that adoration or that validation, then quite commonly I see from this feeling of guilt and shame stirs up. You're not worthy. Who do you think you are? And I see it quite commonly in just like people that kind of the strivers and overachievers to fill that emotional void. And then when they do get to that pinnacle or that level, these feelings of, I'm not worthy. I feel guilty. I feel shame for achieving this. I left my family behind. Who do you think you are? How do you address that in clients?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's going to be going back to childhood. And that's the inner child work where we do inner child and reparenting. And if you think of it this way, there's a difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. And so confidence, it's a little bit easier to become confident. We can get better at something, we can achieve, we can get that external validation. Self-esteem is really going to come from within. And that was formed usually before we were 7 years old. And so all the self-confidence and the achievements externally is never going to actually heal that inner wound that we have from our upbringing. And the majority of us do. It's just part of the where we are in human evolution. There's no shame and guilt in and of it itself, and that's what we work on, is going into the subconscious, is going into the deeper parts of our mind, and that can absolutely be changed so that you don't have to ever feel that shame and guilt once you've worked so hard to achieve what you have. So there's nothing inherently wrong with getting that external success. It's great and it's necessary, but the next step would be doing the inner work.
Yeah, really enlightening. One final question before we tell the audience how to find you and work with you. And I know you really have a great 30-minute hypnotherapy resources, which was really amazing. But when you talk about metabolizing emotions, what does that mean in the context of bad money beliefs? Was it just blocking out the guilt and the shame and just like hunkering down, hustling, or is it crying, screaming? Talk about how you metabolize these toxic beliefs and emotions.
Yeah, no, that's great. It basically, if you think of when we had experiences as a child that we couldn't process, they get stored in our body, in our system, in our tissues, in our cells. And they're starting to understand that we do need to process those and purge them. And so there are a couple different ways. Like, yes, absolutely. Crying, screaming, yelling. I always tell people go in their car if they're frustrated and just hold onto the wheel and scream. We need to get that anger out in one way, working out, going for a run. But when you're running, thinking of that, getting that release. And hypnosis is nice because it can digest that a little bit more gently in our dreams and in the process of it. But so there's both. Somatically, we can do it through movement and through purging, through crying, through feeling our feelings. And then the second way would be hypnotically using those deeper meditations to process them in a session or in our sleep, or just naturally. I do believe that the mind can heal itself. But that's a great question. Yes, feeling your feelings is going to be a huge one. People really, I would love for them to know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to get angry, screaming into a pillow, doing some breath work, whatever you find to release that, especially women, to get out that anger or that sadness is going to be huge. And you'll see that things just naturally start to fall into place and become easier. And things you used to believe are just no longer even on your mind or on the surface.
Excellent. Thanks so much for a wonderful webinar. And if
Yeah.
people listening to this, they're intrigued, they want to find out more, connect with you, check out your work, get your free resources, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So it's my name. So taraoneal.com. So you can grab some free resources. And I say stop abandoning ourselves, right? Because the world we're conditioned to live in encourages us abandoning ourselves and going against what our soul wants or what our essence really truly wants. So I really am so grateful for you and the work that you do. And thank you for letting me come on to your podcast or your webinar.
Yeah, excellent. And I think the audience really got a good flavor of what Tara does. And go ahead and check out her resources, her website. And again, thanks so much for coming on and sharing so much value with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it again sometime.